On this episode of My So-Called Podcast, we go back to August 23rd, 1996.
Yeah, where we'll be talking about Pearl Jam's No Code and John Frankenheimer's The Island of Dr. Moreau. Welcome to My So-Called Podcast. My name is Eric.
Hey, Eric, I'm Gary.
Linton?
Yep. Are you Eric Spiegel?
That's right.
All right, that's fun.
Here we are.
That's a fun little opener.
We are here, and we are My So-Called Podcast.
Yeah.
We're going back to 96 this week, eh?
Yeah, we're a podcast. We look at a week in the 90s. We go back to a week and we discuss a movie and an album that were released that week.
Right.
Yeah.
And if you were paying attention at the very beginning, good for you.
Yeah.
If you weren't, we're going to talk about The Island of Dr. Moreau and No Code, Pearl Jam's fourth album.
Yep. And we have a guest.
Hello.
Hi, Scott. Third time?
Third or fourth time.
Oh, yeah. Just solo, though. No, not counting best ofs.
Best ofs.
Yeah.
Best ofs.
Best ofs! Nobody counts the best ofs.
I do. Those are my favorite episodes. You get everybody in one room. You have some appetizers.
Some apps. Some punch and pie.
I don't recall there being punch and pie.
Well,
I was told
exactly.
there would be punch and pie.
That's how we get you in.
Welcome, Scott.
Thank you. Great to be back.
Why are we talking about these things?
Oh, yeah.
Well, first of all, I think it's the point of the podcast to talk about these things. That would be number one.
All right.
Well, I believe we have. We started with Pearl Jam because we are going to go see them in a couple of weeks in
Right.
Field.
Yeah, you and I are. Gary, we will live tweet the whole thing.
Okay, yeah, I'll watch it. Yeah, that's what I'll do.
Yeah, I was talking to a friend of the show, Duggins, Scott Reithel.
Oh, yeah.
And he was like, why didn't you wait till after the concert to have Scott on? You could talk about it. I was like, true. Too late now! I've already watched The Island of Dr. Moreau.
Oh, yeah, you said you wanted to do it before.
Yeah, it doesn't make sense,
No.
but here we are.
Right.
We're both really excited about the show.
For sure.
And we've been really ramping up listening to all their past albums and
All of
newish albums.
The Island of Dr. Moreau's past albums.
I've been listening to all of Val Kilmer's recorded works.
Oh, okay. Awesome.
It's a lot of Doors covers and beat poetry.
I am Batman.
Yeah,
Smirking.
I'm the saint.
Yeah.
I'm the saint.
Yeah, exactly. I am the real genius.
That's back when he was cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, those were the days.
Well, this was back when he was cool. Like, this was right when he stopped being cool.
Yeah.
Island of Dr. Moreau.
You might say the same thing about, or some might say the same thing about Pearl Jam.
Yeah.
Ouch.
Right. Yeah, we'll talk about
We'll
that.
come back to that. Summer 96. Gary and I, we had graduated from high school, and we're probably already at college.
Yeah, this week, August.
Yeah, college.
Yeah, probably at college.
What year of college was this for you?
This would have been going into my third year of college.
Okay.
So I was, it was the first summer that I stayed at college instead of moving back home.
Yeah.
And it was the last time I ever moved back home, which was fantastic.
You can't go home again.
Can't go home again. I would have been...
Well, home is where the heart is.
Won't get fooled again.
Yeah.
I would have been finishing up a summer job doing groundskeeping at a golf course.
Like
didn't
a young Bill Murray.
We did not mention Caddyshack once.
I
all
bet
summer.
not. I bet not.
And then so it was a fun summer. Not yet 21, but 20 years old. I think I had bought a guitar maybe that month. of that year, so I was just starting out with that as well.
How'd that end up for you?
Pretty good.
Oh,
I
okay.
definitely learned a lot of Pearl Jam songs.
Yeah. And Scott plays lead guitar on the follow-up album, Yield.
Oh, I guess that did work out pretty well for
Worked
you.
out pretty well.
So, awesome.
Not credited, much like Richard Stanley on the Island.
Oh, yeah, right.
Well...
I should have learned the drums.
One of the things that you should have learned the drums. I'm sure you would compete with former members of the band.
Yeah.
One of the things that I was thinking about is that I remember that I was exposed at this time to...
Go on.
I was exposed at this time to
You
pop
exposed
culture.
yourself?
I exposed I spent a lot of the freshman year in prison.
Because we're indecent exposure.
No, I was exposed to pop culture a lot of different ways than I am currently. Like, I found out about No Code because a guy in my dorm had it and was playing it.
Oh, right.
And I guess it was probably September or whatever, maybe August. And I remember sitting in his dorm room looking at the CD, it was a paper CD case, I believe.
Kind of, yeah.
And I was looking at it and listening to it, and I enjoyed it. But
So you were looking? You were listening? Did you taste anything?
no, but his room really smelled bad.
Okay.
I remember that.
And you were feeling the CD. How about that Sixth Sense?
Yeah, he had a dead roommate.
Last week on the podcast. Or last episode.
Yeah. So there's that, and then there was no real knowledge at all of Dr. Moreau for me at that point. Like, it was out at the theaters, and it was a big Hollywood movie out that week, but I don't think I was always aware of what was coming out movie-wise at right when I got into college. There's just... It's not like pop
taking
culture.
That college.
Yeah.
Absorbing college.
Yeah. I mean, that's what I remember from that part of my life.
Yeah. I don't remember anything.
I'm telling you, you were just arrived at college for the first time.
Yeah. Let's see. I was in the dorm, the 7th floor. Yep. Meeting the captain, Raul.
There you go.
Yeah, he's previous My So-Called Podcast guest.
He's a favorite.
Yeah, right.
He's a fan favorite.
A fan fiction.
Oh, you've read my fan fiction about the captain?
Yes.
Hey.
I can't believe you shipped us.
It's a love triangle.
Yeah.
It's called When Doogie Met the Cap. Anyway, you want to do some trivia?
Yeah. Eric, you're leading.
Oh, yeah.
Scott, you know the rules. You help out whenever you can. Help me more. Help me.
He's got 3, and I've got 6, so he needs the help.
Yeah. So, since I'm losing, you should ask me first.
Should I give the audience a steak update?
Yeah.
Alicia made pork tenderloin, and I offered some to Gary, and he said that would not count as steak.
Nice try.
He tore some off of his. I was like, here, you want some of this?
Have a bite.
No.
And then Gary's like, oh, you could take me to this steak restaurant, Hamilton's Steak and Bourbon
I wasn't
Bar.
saying you can take me.
The website doesn't list any prices.
This is where I want to go.
Nice. I think that's a good call.
All right. I'll ask you first.
Okay.
This is a good question. How many websites were there in June 1996 for every one in June 1993? Do you get me?
Yeah.
So
what multiple?
It's multiple choice.
Yeah. Oh, okay.
1,880 or 1,800.
What do you think, Scott? I think 18's too low.
Yeah.
So, but is
1996.
yeah.
There were quite a lot of websites.
after multiplying by
I would say maybe 1800.
Yeah, let's go 1800.
All right. And we're going to find out that you are Right.
Nice.
1800.
Excellent. Here we go. What movie title character stole the line, "You complete me," from a deaf couple in an elevator?
Oh,
What title?
Jerry Maguire.
Yeah, okay.
That was a softball.
Yep. I mean, it was a movie question, so I wanted to ask it.
What sitcom opened to the songs Moon Over Parma, 5 O'Clock World, and Cleveland Rocks?
That's the Drew Carey Show. Hey, thanks, audience. What TV judge never starts a trial without donning her dad's reading glasses?
Judge Judy.
That is Judge Judy.
What courtroom curmudgeon wrote the book Don't Pee on My Leg and Tell Me It's Raining?
Do you think that's also Judge Judy? The suspense is killing
I guess, yeah. I don't know.
Yeah!
Right.
I couldn't pass it up.
She was huge in '96. I'm gonna do what U.S. senator has written lyrics for more than 300 songs since his debut CD, "My God Is Love." It's kind of a
senator.
politics question.
I mean, I know Sonny Bono was senator, but would he write religious music?
Is he Republican?
Yes.
Probably.
Sonny Bono?
No, let me give you a hint. He's very hypocritical. Just in the last 2 weeks, he's been very hypocritical. Does that help?
Paul Manafort?
No. Orrin Hatch.
Oh.
Because he came out and was like, I can't believe these Democrats are treating our nominee, the Supreme Court nominee, so
I don't
bad.
think that it's really narrowing it down for
Yeah,
you
you're
to
right.
say this Republican is very hypocritical. So I got 2, I'm at 8, you got 3, and you're at 6.
You only asked me 2 questions.
No, I went first. You
Oh,
got
that's right.
1800, Drew Carey, and Judge Judy.
Oh, that's right, yeah.
So good job. Usually you keep track of that. I don't.
Yeah, that's true.
So, we're both here for each other.
All right,
Barry.
so...
I was glad I was here to witness that.
You were very helpful.
So we like to set the mood about what was in the what Pearl Jam was releasing no code to, what hits were on the radio, what those teeny boppers were bopping their teenies to.
They're teeny what?
Their teeny butts.
Those teeny boppers were bopping their teeny butts to these songs.
Yep. And the
You heard it here first, people.
number 10, "Give Me One Reason" by Tracy Chapman. You had that pulled up. I'm impressed.
You guys like this song?
It's an okay song.
Yeah. I didn't really care
I got a
for
little
it.
tired of it.
Yeah.
Okay.
Number 9 was "California Love," Tupac. Did you make a playlist?
It's called Moreau.
All right. All right. Number 8 is "I Can't Sleep, Baby" by some jerk.
Rur Kelly.
Yeah.
He can't sleep, parentheses, if I.
Oh,
Why
right.
can't he sleep?
Because he's thinking how old you are. He's making the mental math.
I can't sleep, baby. Because I'm pretty upset. You're over 20.
Exactly. Number 7 is "Change the World" by Eric Clapton.
This would be on every time I went to get lunch in the dining hall.
Oh, sure. Number 6 is the song I sing to every joint I smoke. You're Making Me High by Tony Braxton.
You sing to the joints you smoke like beforehand?
Yeah.
You serenade them.
Yeah.
You need a song that's called like "You're Going to Make Me High."
Oh right. Or I just sing that song because I was high. By what was his name? You remember that? Because I got high. Yeah.
Because I got high. I remember that.
Okay. Number 5. Come on in, Write It. The Train by Quad City DJs.
I was gonna ask Scott if he knew who sang that.
Oh, sorry.
Probably could not have pulled that out.
Because you've never been to the Quad Cities.
I've never been to the Quad.
This is a real jock jam.
This is, so there was a girl, and this song brings me back to freshman year of college, because there was a girl, Jessica. We were at some sort of freshman mixer, and this song came on, and she was like, oh yeah, and she was dancing. I was like, I've never seen a girl dance like this before. Is this what college is like? Sign me up.
Was she doing the locomotion? What was happening?
No, she was grinding, I believe is what the kids call it.
On you?
Uh-huh.
Ooh, that is a good memory.
It. Yep.
I was all for it.
Says college, sign me up. And they're like, you're already signed up, jackass.
Plus, there's punch and pie.
That's right.
Number 4.
Keith Sweat, Twisted.
And that sounds like this. Look at this album cover. He really knows something you don't.
He sure does.
I've always gone through life thinking Keith Sweat knew something I didn't.
Maybe several things.
Yep. Number 3 is Loungin' by LL Cool J.
Go ahead, Daddy.
It's a Queen's bang bang.
I wanna dance with you.
Track masters.
Yeah. That's LL.
This is the era where this is the last time we kind of took him seriously as a rap artist, right?
I think so.
This is the final Who Gives a Crap
Oh,
about Jose.
number 2, Donna Lewis, I Love You Always Forever.
Great.
I believe we've had this conversation. Yep.
Was that on the best of 1996?
I think
podcast?
so.
Where we all hated it.
Yep. Number 1
The worst
is
song.
Macarena by
The other one everybody hated.
Los Del Rio.
You two were talking about trying to sing Macarena in Spain
Oh,
or something.
yeah.
And it's like, no,
That's right.
it's not okay.
That's when Edge was like, I think we're done with this.
I think this is a remix.
That sounds remixed.
You just lost all of your listeners. Playing that.
We don't
I have one
any
fond
listeners.
memory of the song is that it was definitely popular that summer, and there was a guy who was working at the golf course, and he was mowing a green or something on a riding mower, and I think my friend and I were waiting for him to finish up, and he just started doing the Macarena as he was on the riding lawnmower.
Oh, yeah.
Pretty
Really,
amusing.
yeah.
That was the only time.
Did he kill anybody?
He did not.
That would be a really kind
That I
of
know
Most of your stories should end, and he killed somebody.
not related to the Macarena.
No.
I got a date doing the Macarena.
You got a date?
Yeah. I probably already told this story.
I don't
was
know.
at
I
think I've
Cosmic
heard
Bowling,
this. Yeah.
and I was doing the
You
Macarena.
have told this story.
So was Brina.
That's me falling asleep. Do you already? No, go ahead and tell your story.
I did. I told it.
It was a good story.
Good times. This was in the era of me not asking anybody out, so it was a big deal at the time.
That was at college?
Summer before college.
Oh, okay.
This song was popular all summer.
I guess so, yeah. Number 1 in August. So,
It was dark times.
those were dark times.
So, Scott, being the guest, you get to answer the illustrious either or.
Okay.
And I'm going to put my opinion out there a little bit with this either or. This album you have on LP,
Correct.
right? You sent us
That's
the,
what stands for long player.
right, vinyl.
Yeah.
The aforementioned Black Circle from the previous album by...
I don't think we mentioned that on the podcast.
No, but they aforementioned it
right.
on their
You're
previous
supposed
album.
to spin it.
Yeah.
Yeah. They told us to do it, so we did it. We spun that Black Circle.
Yeah.
And we put the needle down on Sometimes. First of all, I need a little fact-finding. What's the last song on side A? Off He Goes?
Yeah, I would think so.
I believe
Habit?
that is correct. Habit is the first song on side 2.
Okay, so
Or B.
either you listen to this album and you turn it over and listen to the second side, or you just pick the needle up after Off He Goes and you put it down at the beginning of the album again.
I would definitely flip it. I enjoyed Habit a lot. I thought Habit was a cool song, but I can see how you would skip a lot of the second side.
I'm showing my stripes a little bit.
Yeah.
It definitely is a weaker half, in my opinion.
Yeah, I don't. Well, so Scott listened to the second side. That's your either or.
Yeah, I know.
I may
It's just
not be
supposed
the-
to start the conversation.
I
That's
may
all I'm
not be
saying.
the best judge of that because I loved Pearl Jam. And
Yeah.
I still do. And I was thinking about this album and about how it's kind of like a weird, difficult album in some ways because of that. And that was like a year where there's a lot of those kind of albums, like Recovering the Satellites came out.
The Counting Crows
second record, Pinkerton came out that year.
Oh, okay.
I think there was another one I was trying to think of, but I was kind of in on Pearl Jam as a band, so I definitely listened to the whole thing quite a bit,
And you still do.
and I still do.
So, yeah. So you had mentioned this had been the point where Pearl Jam was not as popular as they once were. It came out, went to number 1, but it's platinum, but not multi-platinum like their first 3. I think we got to set the stage. Pearl Jam was huge.
They were
10
enormous.
and Versus were huge albums.
And they had not been a band hardly at all, and they were huge.
Yeah,
just immediately.
Right. And then Vitalogy was also big, but it
was just as big as Versus as far as sales goes.
yeah. But then you definitely got I feel like 10 and Versus were also when I would read about it and they were well received albums, but I think Vitalogy was a little less well received amongst the musical people.
I'm not sure that's true.
I think it got good reviews, but I think they probably lost a lot of fans
I think they
with that
did
album.
not. I don't think they lost the rock critics ever.
Well,
I think they lost the bros that would rather listen to Dave Matthews at this point or whatever. Like they had a lot
They
of
still have-
fratty type listeners.
Yeah,
in
they
the early
still have
90s.
a lot of people like that at their concerts, but that's a whole different story. We're talking about No Code right now.
True, but the guy. Well, I mean, but even if those guys go to this concert, they're excited about the songs from the first album.
That's true.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's not like they're like play binaural.
Yeah, that's So, I am actually guilty. I guess I'll just give you my history real quick of a No Code. I did not listen to No Code. I was huge on 10 Versus
You can absolve him, Scott.
and Vitalogy.
It's okay,
But
Gabe.
no, it's not. It's
I
'cause-
forgive you.
Well, so I went back and it was in 98 when I listened to Yield. And it was kind of like, oh yeah, I really still do like Pearl Jam.
Yeah.
And I went back to No Code.
That's what they were going for with Yield.
yeah, exactly. And it
We'll
worked
do
on
Yield
me.
on a different album.
Yeah.
Yield was a little weird too, but it didn't have the really like No Code has I'm Open, which has spoken word stuff and
Well, and I think they even start out with Sometimes is kind of like the beginning of setting the stage for how No Code's a little bit of a different Pearl Jam album.
I personally think that Vitalogy is weirder than
Yeah.
Well,
No Code. But
just because of Hey Foxy Mop Handle Mama, That's Me.
no,
And,
there's a lot of weird stuff on that album.
I
They
mean,
have like those interlude things. Like
There's Bugs.
and
Well,
Privacy.
those
or
two,
Privacy,
yeah.
Bugs in my hair.
Yeah.
I mean,
and
bugs everywhere.
and Better Man.
But that was what I was going to say is they have huge singles
Yeah.
also.
Yeah.
They got huge.
And so they stayed
Singles.
weird.
It's not funny, but it is.
Yeah, it's so if
a Monty Python
for those
reference.
at home, Gary was motioning to his gigantic bosom. When he said, but they I think there's some great songs on here that are just as good as the good songs on
On No
Vitology
Code? Yeah.
on No Code, but they don't have the mainstream hit appeal. They don't have a mainstream hit on this album.
Well,
period.
yeah, so I'll
I
throw
don't
it out
think.
there. Hail Hail is one of my favorite Pearl Jam songs.
I agree.
I also agree.
It's my favorite Pearl Jam song? You guys agree with that?
I agree that it is one of their best songs.
Oh,
Yes,
okay.
it is definitely one of my favorite Pearl Jam songs.
But I think that one of the reasons that I kind of like it is that I never hear it.
Uh-huh.
It wasn't big, but when you do hear it, you're like, this song rules.
Yeah, it does rule.
And it rocks harder than anything else they've, just as hard as anything else they've ever done. But it was not a hit song.
No, it wasn't even the first single. It should have been the first single.
Well,
Who You
Who You
Are.
Are is a
Who You-
great song.
Yeah, but
So I got to ask you this, Mr. Pearl Jam.
Yes.
What is the
ratio.
what is the ratio of websites in June 1993 to the websites in June 1996?
1800.
Correct. Let me ask you another one. What do Pearl Jam nerds think of Who You Are when they look back on it? Are they like, do you know, not you, we'll get to you in a second, but what do you think of the Pearl Jam community? What do they think of that song now?
I think would probably be considered like a okay song. I don't think it's one that most would be like super excited to hear live or anything. I think it's probably something they don't play real often. Mm-hmm. And I don't know that they play no code stuff in general a lot.
And what about you? What do you think of that song?
Of Who You Are? Oh yeah, I liked it. I mean, I was kind of open to a lot of different stuff back then, and I was definitely into the Beatles a lot. I think it kind of has a White Album kind of sitar sounding
it's
thing.
Georgie.
To it. Yeah, for sure. So
He says transcendent in there.
Yeah.
Your consciousness. But it's catchy like a Beatles song. Like,
Yeah.
I actually like the percussion and the guitar on that song. They're really doing something different. And I think that he does the percussion and the guitar and the singing for the first verse, and then they lay in the bass, and it really kind of rocks.
Yeah.
I like that song a lot. I like it as much as or better as I like Hail Hail. So so for me, like, I don't get why mainstream people weren't into this, other than the fact that what they did between Vitology and this was try to tour without Ticketmaster, and it didn't
I
work.
don't think. Well, I mean, yeah, but I don't know why that would turn audiences off from new music. I think look at the
You
top
don't?
10s.
I mean, I think touring was a big marketing gimmick back in the day.
Yeah,
and
but
if you couldn't go see them easily, they weren't on your mind as much as people like I mentioned the Dave Matthews Band, who incessantly toured,
Well,
and still do.
I don't know. I mean,
Give
I
it
don't
a rest,
exactly.
Dave.
Seriously, retire.
Yeah, I think you just see the music change to the mid '90s, early '90s.
You mean mainstream music?
Yeah, it was all grunge, but now, by the mid '90s, the mainstream was, there wasn't any alternative. I mean, we've talked about.
Well, I think much more so with Yield when that came out. By the time that came out, they were pretty alone.
Yeah.
I mean, you mentioned Weezer and some other kind of acts were still kind of around, rock acts at least.
Right.
But by 98, none of their contemporary... I mean, Nirvana was... nothing.
I mean,
had become the Foo Fighters.
Soundgarden was the year
Soundgarden
96, but...
I think they put in...
98.
Alice
Yeah,
in
they put their
Chains.
last album in
95,
96.
yeah.
Alice in Chains was
Alice
done.
in Chains was dead.
Foo Fighters was kind of ramping up,
Yep,
I think. Would
yeah.
be the only
But
one.
we talked about the color and the shape and the Foo Fighters album as being a part of the next cycle of rock. They were the Foo Fighters was almost an attempt to escape grunge and become something else successfully.
On that color and the shape, yeah.
Yeah, if I had an either or for this album, I would have asked something like either...
It doesn't have to be a hypothetical.
Yeah, ask
Go
it.
ahead.
Scott,
But
ask it.
either they... either Pearl Jam kind of deliberately went weird to lose their popularity, or they would have lost their popularity anyway because, of what you were talking about.
I don't know if they went deliberately weird, because I don't know. I mean, I was reading up on it. They were pretty stressed out while they were making this album because they were touring with Fighting Ticketmaster.
The Ticketmaster thing. Eddie Vedder had the Stalker, which is what Lukin is about.
Apparently, they started recording, and nobody told Jeff Emmett that
Right.
they were recording. And
Right, and that was on purpose.
yeah,
So that's stressful. They had a new drummer.
Yep, yeah, exactly.
They had fired Dave
Abersy.
Dave.
So for the people not familiar with this album, here's Hail Hail. It rocks.
Yeah, rocks. Yeah.
So it rocks. And here's Who You Are by contrast, the next song.
I think it's interesting that drum is weird kind of drum patterns. I think it's what Jack Irons really brought differently, and I think that he's on this one and they're both kind of a little weird.
Yeah, Red Dot is even on Yield, and it's like, what is this?
This is a catchy song.
Oh yeah.
But you're saying the second half is no good?
Can we get to that part where the bass kicks in on this song? I just want to highlight how awesome that is.
Jeff Emmett's the bass player.
I like him.
Yeah.
I'm in favor.
Okay.
You like to do like all the stand-up basses and all that.
Oh, yeah, he does all those, yeah.
Takes a while. But not to the full sound of the song anywhere at 1 minute.
Yeah.
This was pretty weird probably to hear on the radio.
Yeah. But it really highlights Eddie's voice in a way a lot of his solo stuff would later. Here's a good part.
I feel the same, like, Off He Goes. Feels like almost a solo Eddie Vedder song.
Yeah, well, the stuff that he wrote for Into the Wild, and he did some singing on the Dead Men Walking soundtrack. I feel like Who You Are is very influenced by that, and I was very into some of his...
They did the Dead Man Walking song is a B-side, I think, for one of these. Not. They did a song for Dead Man Walking that ended up being... I don't think it was on the soundtrack, or maybe it was.
Well, Eddie Vedder
wasn't.
sings on the score of that movie.
Right, but I think Pearl Jam actually recorded a song that was going to be used, but didn't get used in the movie.
Yeah.
And so...
And then there's this Springsteen song that was the actual one over the end credits, and it's like the most literal,
Yes.
like, I'm a dead man walking.
There's a nun coming down the hall.
And I am going to die, 'cause I'm a dead man walking. There's nothing wrong with Springsteen, but a little different than what Eddie was going for. But so sometimes I think it's sort of a half-song intro, but then Hail Hail like kicks it into good full gear. Who You Are I really like. In My Tree, what do we think about In My Tree?
I like In My Tree.
Yeah.
That's a good song. It sounds like this. So it's got that crazy drumming again. It's certainly not going to get the frat boys in the seats.
And apparently that's a lot of these songs were written just, them just kind of sitting around jamming. And so Jack Irons.
That's why some of them are half songs.
Yeah.
And then I think "Smile" is probably one of the best sort of not released singles.
Oh yeah,
I really like "Smile."
I think
Smile's
"Smile"
really
might
good.
be the best one that I didn't remember. It's got a real Neil Young influence.
Yeah, and they're big Neil Young fans.
Yeah, they had done the Merkin ball.
Yeah.
I didn't know what a Merkin was back then.
No, neither did I.
I didn't either.
I don't know what a mirror ball is either.
So this sounds like it could be a Neil Young song.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm sure like the harmonica alone type. Some people are just like, "There's harmonica." Like,
Yeah, right.
True.
It's like, if I wanted to listen to Blues Traveler, I'd listen to Blues Traveler.
And I am.
Pearl Jam, why you gotta give me the runaround?
That's right.
Okay, and then, the chorus of this is what really sells it for me, because it's very catchy.
It's good stuff.
Or they do that thing where they do 2 verses before they get to the chorus.
No, Pearl Jam.
We'll get back to the chorus in a second. I like that song a lot. Smile.
Yeah.
That's a good one.
So for me,
I mean, when I'm listening to that song, I smile.
yeah.
Can you believe that?
And then he asks you, don't it make you smile? And you're
And
like,
I'm always like, yeah, Eddie, I'm smiling. Don't you see me?
look at me.
Exactly.
He doesn't hear you, though, because he asks again.
Right. It's like, quit singing and listen.
Here we go.
I think I'm going to put this on a playlist to be played at my funeral.
Yeah, that's something to plan right now.
Followed
Followed by Off He Goes, which is a great slow
also
song.
on my funeral playlist.
That's the playlist right before you die.
Right.
Don't get those mixed up, or they're
It'll be
confusing. I
exactly.
feel like Off He Goes is like in the vein of Elderly Woman or other ballads that people have enjoyed by them in the past. And that's the end of No Code.
No. So
And we're done.
yeah, I agree with Scott that I used to really like Habit, but listening to it at this time, the first part of Habit's great, but then the second part when they're just all never thought you'd have it, never thought they just keep singing that. I was like, okay, yeah, you can be done.
This
with
is Off He Goes.
that. Okay. But you talked about it. You said it was the end.
No woman is facing.
So they had ballad hits before, and
Yeah, their biggest hit was "Last Kiss."
recently.
Yeah.
Hail Hail's a rocker. Who You Are is a good song. It's a little different for them. My Tree's a good song. Smile's a great pop song. Off He Goes is a great ballad. I can't see that if I was the record company, at least just with this, what we have so far, that I'd be disappointed in putting this album out. I wouldn't be like, what a mess, So anyway, I'm just saying I'm kind of surprised that anyone thinks of this as a weak album, given how many great songs are on side A.
Yeah, I think it's an album that probably people have appreciated more over time once they kind of got out of it and listened to it again. But I always felt like it was one of those albums where you spend time with it and it's like, oh, Hail Hail is my favorite song, and like, oh, I'm kind of into Smile now, and it just kind of changes after a while.
Yeah, you just keep jumping around from songs on side A. Okay, moving on to side B, Habit. You do not remember liking?
No, I did like it.
Oh, you did like it, but now you don't like the end of it.
Yeah.
It rocks a little too hard.
Heck yeah. I mean, this part's great.
This is basically a punk song.
Yeah.
Coming after
And
Off He
even,
Goes.
yeah.
It sounds like Pearl Jam trying to be Sponge.
Ooh.
I don't know about that. I mean, 16 candles down the drain? No.
I would
Yeah.
say that
Say
song
that part.
strikes me as not a fully formed song.
Well, I mean, like I said, the second half, they're just like, I never thought you'd have it, never thought you'd have it, never thought you'd have it, never thought you'd have it. It's like, okay, yeah.
About a friend of his with an addiction.
Sure.
I guess.
And then Lucan.
Well, let's not skip Red Mosquito. I would say that
Oh,
that's
you're right,
close
yeah.
to being a good song.
Red Mosquito
but it
is a good song.
Also feels a little unformed to me. Like it never quite gets there for catchiness wise. Like it sounds like a Pearl Jam song.
Yeah, it's a good song.
Got
This
that
one
kind
actually
of slide guitar, which is
Yeah.
a little different for them too.
This one charted, but it wasn't released as a single.
Is it really?
Yeah,
Who charted?
yeah, exactly. On the Earwolf network.
I don't think that song's very catchy. It certainly rocks. And I'll let it be a song on this album.
Okay,
It's
oh
fine
good.
for it to
That's
be an
great.
album
Okay.
track.
Oh wow, that's so nice of you.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I'm kind of sweet that way. So, you guys want me to read you the lyrics to Lucan?
You know what Lucan
Only if
song
you can say it
reminded me-
as fast as Eddie.
Drive down the street, can't find my keys to my own fucking home. I take a walk so I can curse my ass for being dumb. I might make a right after the arches, stinking grease and bones. Stop at the supermarket. People stare at me like I'm a dog. I've been going to Lucan's. I got that spot, that Lucan's.
It reminds me of
I
To
knocked
the
that
Evolution.
door
Yeah.
at Lucan's,
Yeah.
opened the
Which
fridge.
is
Now I
almost
know
a
life is worth. I
better
find the key, but I return to find an
version.
open door. So fucking freezing. They jump out the car. Everybody wants some. Find my wife. Call the cops. This day's work is never done. Last I heard, that freak was purchasing the fucking gun. That's Lucan. That's about a stalker? That doesn't seem like it's about a stalker.
It's so Lucan is a guy who is in Mudhoney,
Oh.
and he would go to Lucan's his last name. It's like Matt or something, and he would go. I guess he would go to that guy's house when he was feeling like he was stalked. So he would go hang out there or something.
And he would go to like a... so that's him at his house.
Yeah, and he would just like hang out. They play this song a lot,
Yeah.
They do?
which is pretty impressive because he sings it really.
So I like this song. I'll say. When we were listening to Color and the Shape and Dave Grohl was just kind of screaming into it, I was like, I didn't care for the Color and the Shape, but I like this song.
Yeah, this kind of reminds me too of that song on Inebrial.
This song's only a minute long.
Yeah, it's not even around long enough to dislike it.
Yeah, but it's
So
hard
we're
for me
getting
to...
up and skipping.
Yeah.
No, I
It's
like
hard to
it.
call it a song, though, at 1 minute and 2 seconds.
Well, you weren't a big punk fan, Eric. You know,
no.
yeah. So
I wasn't alive during that punk phase.
Oh, I mean, I believe we had Rancid. And,
I like Green Day.
There you go, Green Day.
They're more of a pop band with
Yeah.
sort of a punk aesthetic. But they're good songwriters. Present Tense is the next song.
And I believe
which
we
is
were alive.
They're
76, 77 was when punk came.
Present Tense. They make up for Lucan by having almost a 6-minute song.
Yeah, it's a little long, but it's still good. I like that.
Why is this song not the last song in the album, though? It's so long. Like, it's a perfect album ender, I feel like.
I like when the guitar. I think that's got a pretty good crunchy guitar.
Yeah, when it picks up.
Yeah.
I don't have a problem with this song. It's just kind of long. It's a bit much.
Sure.
Mankind? Okay. Let's talk about Mankind.
I don't mind Mankind, but I mean,
my gosh, you are a Pearl Jam fan.
I don't think. I mean, I could probably drop Mankind in the next one off this album, and I would be okay with that. I think it would improve it.
Yeah, I mean, like I was speaking to Eric, I mean, the verses of Mankind are pretty dumb. really dumb.
Really dumb.
But the chorus is fine. I don't have a problem with the chorus.
Tell us a little bit more about Mankind, Scott.
Well, it's sung by Stone Gossard.
Right.
When you have Eddie Vedder in your band,
Yeah.
I don't know.
The biggest asset in this band is Eddie Vedder's voice.
Well, I don't know.
It's in the top 3 things in the band.
I mean, I think what makes Pearl Jam great is that they all
don't sing except for Eddie Vedder.
do their part. I mean, I
Right.
don't think, Pearl Jam wouldn't be Pearl Jam without, Stone Gossard's guitar
Oh, for
licks
sure.
or Mike
Fully
McCready's.
agree.
Okay.
Right, but it wouldn't be Pearl Jam if Eddie Vedder played the drums and Stone Gossard sang in every
No.
song and Jeff Ament played the guitar and
Sure.
whatever.
yeah, I mean this didn't happen
They'd be
again.
Mother Love Bone.
There were other songs that other people in the band wrote, like the entire song. And
Yeah.
they did not sing it.
Pilot,
Yeah.
Jeff Ament.
And they
wrote-
talk a
Sirens
little bit.
is one, I think.
Yeah.
One of the theories out there is that there was a little bit of fight for who is in control of the band.
Yeah.
And Stone said, "Well, I'm going to sing this one," and Eddie was like, "Okay," and it was sort of a passive aggressive way to be like, "It didn't work out very well, did it?" Kind of a thing. Let's listen to a little. There's nothing to like here.
I mean, it sounds like a Pearl Jam song. Until now.
First of all, I think it sounds like a Ramones song, like a bad
There's,
Ramones
have you ever
cover
listened
band.
to Brad?
Yes.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's kind of a little bit. I mean, that's Stone Gossard's side project with somebody from the band. I think it was called. Was Nadine the song?
Yeah, I think
Yeah,
Nadine was the song.
yeah. There's another member.
But he does not sing in that band.
No, yeah, there's another singer. That's right.
It's not like he's a bad singer, but it's like it's just super out of place on a Pearl Jam album
Yeah.
for that to just be plunked down in there. It's like, I mean, if we're trying to make an argument for No Code as like a complete project, not just a collection of songs, this is just jarring. After you made it through the 6 minutes of present tense, you're rewarded with a Stone Gossard song.
And here you go.
I'm Open. Is that the spoken word one?
Yeah.
yeah.
So you would drop this from the album?
I think you could. It's just really...
Yeah, it's kind of a nothing song.
It's like a poetry reading.
I
Yeah.
don't really mind when they do this sometimes, though, where it's just sort of a weird track that gives you the mood. That's kind of the way I feel about Lukin, too. So maybe what needs to happen is some of the really catchy ones need to be moved from the front of the album to the back half and shuffle it around a bit. So it's not like all the really good catchy ones and then all of the weird sort of half songs on the second end. I'm not saying I don't like anything on this end. It just sort of peters out of energy for me. But you like Around the Bend.
I like Around the Bend. Yep.
Yeah, I think that's pretty good. Not as good of an album ender as Present Tense.
Yeah. I think I could go with that.
Do you know if there's any B-sides in this era?
Yeah, there were.
I don't think there was a lot.
2 of them were on Lost Dogs. I can get that.
Speaking of catchy songs, that Lost Dogs compilation has tons of really good songs on it.
Yeah.
I think Red, Black, and Yellow is a B-side.
From this
Yeah.
time.
What's your favorite song on this album, Scott?
On Lost Dogs.
No, on No Code.
Probably Hail Hail.
Yeah. Black, Red, and Yellow was a B-side of Hail Hail. And the song Dead Man, which was on For Off He Goes. But that was the song that they were going to use on Dead Man Walking.
Oh.
And then Leaving Here, which appeared on the Home Alive album. I don't know that one. And then
I think that's a cover.
Okay. and then Get Me Out of Control on the Music for Our Mother Ocean, Volume 1.
All Night is a no
That's
code.
unfortunately on Lost Dogs, Grammy Out of Control, which is terrible.
All Night, did you say that? That's a no code outtake.
No, I didn't say that one.
No, Don't Give Me No Lip.
Oh yeah,
No
other rejected
Code.
songs were All Night, Don't Give Me No Lip, and Olympic Platinum.
Black, Red, Yellow.
Olympic Platinum.
Black,
I
Red,
have-
Yellow is the Hail
I have
Hail
the Fan
single.
Club 45 of
Oh,
Olympic
yeah,
Platinum. Yeah.
Black, Red, Yellow is originally from the Hail Hail single.
Yeah, I just said that.
Oh, sorry.
You could say it again though.
Do you like... I like All Night. That's a good song. So yeah, I mean, even though there's a lot of tumult and change and problems, they came up with a pretty darn good album, I think. Just their fan base was shifting around.
Yeah, I think you were either into Pearl Jam and kind of a fan of the band and stuck with it, or else you were just out.
I do think... so my friend Jonathan, I remember, he actually... we were a strange age in 1991 whenever 10 came out. Because I wasn't quite old enough to be as into it as everybody was that was a few years older than me. So I was way into Versus and Vitology when they came out. And I only got into 10 at that point, like in retrospect. And my friend Jonathan got into 10, and I remember him being like, whoa, this is so much better than Versus and Vitology. And he was the kind of guy that his musical taste was, he liked those big bombastic songs.
Yeah.
And I remember very clearly that he was not into them until Yield. And he was like, they're back, you know?
Yeah.
Like, because I think Yield had the most palatable mainstream kind of rock songs. And so I think they did lure in the Garys again with Yield.
And that's what they're going for.
Yeah,
The
I mean,
Garys.
I don't know. I mean, I'm gonna take insult to that because I mean,
But I'm just saying
I
they
listened-
lured
like
you
I said,
back.
I listened to Brad. I listened to Mad Season. I was all into Pearl Jam.
Oh man,
It's
I love
not
that
that-
Mad Season record.
Yeah,
That's
yeah.
awesome.
So
I remember that. That
I
was
got
good.
I got
So
Mother
good.
Love Bone. I listened to Green River. So
Nice.
don't be questioning my Pearl Jam credentials.
Well, but that something happened around the time of No Code for you is all I'm saying.
yeah, Britpop.
Yeah, I would say too.
That's
like
true. Everybody was
Yeah.
listening to What's the Story Morning Glory
Yep.
at this point.
And,
Although
Paranoid
Oasis
Android.
was
No, Paranoid Android was
a
97.
year later. The Bends.
Yep.
Oasis was about to shoot themselves in the foot with their
Be
third
Here Now,
album.
yeah.
Ugh.
Yeah, I mean, I definitely listened to the Bends more than No Code, and then OK Computer. So they
Yeah.
were definitely fighting, and it was definitely two bands that I had a hard time ever seeing live because they just didn't. Pearl
Yeah.
Jam had their stuff, and Radiohead would not come to.
Yeah,
Detroit
back in
for
the
whatever reason.
90s, but I've seen Pearl Jam 3 times now when they accepted and started
Yeah.
touring. Yeah.
I saw
they,
them twice
They tour
in
like crazy now.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I saw them twice in '98.
Yeah.
And
They've
then-
kind of turned into that.
for sure.
Yeah.
Since that era, where their albums come out every once in a while, but really they're a touring band. I mean, ever since they made the call to say, we're just going to release that concerts
Yeah.
for a
yeah,
certain
right,
amount, and people started finding the concerts, and then it didn't become as much about their albums as their live act in the 2000s. And that's been 20 years of that now.
Yeah.
Definitely they were a different band in the early 90s than they are at the end of the 90s, and they're pretty much that same band in guise and how they rule and how they not rule, but how they like kind of roll and
they
release
rule.
album. They do also rule.
Yeah, I mean, I think you almost have to like put 10 aside as like a separate, different
right.
thing. Like it was just like they caught lightning in a bottle, and it was kind of a weird mix of like pre Pearl Jam.
Well,
and
right,
Better
yeah.
And,
Well, it's got a real 80s feel to it on some of the songs and the production. It was almost like the people that were into hair metal it was finally okay for them to like a grunge band in a way, because there was a lot of that, that was very accessible. It was their most accessible album, and they never had another one like that. And they weren't interested in doing that. I mean, maybe Dave Abruzzese was interested in that, but Eddie Vedder absolutely was not. And I think he's pretty chill and happy with the level of popularity they have now.
Yeah, I think it's at the right. It's like not insane, right, and all consuming, and having
he doesn't have like stalkers running their cars into his house and such.
Yeah, I still think 10 sounds great. I mean, I know it's like that. I guess it's because I maybe grew up listening to some of that 80s stuff, like Guns N' Roses and metal stuff. But I think it's awesome. It's just it's its own thing.
Yeah.
It's
like not the band that they are.
Don't get me wrong, but yeah, you're right. I mean, like, can you think of a run of like just from like you're saying, lightning in the bottle? What is it like once, and then
I think every song on that album is amazing. Like, there's not a single
there's
that doesn't let
Indifference
up.
Or
Release.
Really.
No, Release is great. I love Release. That's a really good one live. They used to kind of open with that.
Yeah.
It was a really nice concert
that's the only
opener.
one that's
I like that song.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, so we're going to rate No Code?
Yes.
Yeah, 4 stars, well-deserved, classic status. 3 stars is, this is a really good album, you should listen to it. 2 stars is, it's an okay album. I mean, if it's playing, you don't have to cut your ears off.
Mm-hmm.
Number 1 is, this is a bad album. We thought it was good, but it's actually a bad album. We don't know what we're talking about. Scott, what would you give No Code?
I'm gonna do 3.5.
Yeah. I could. I'll give you 3.5 also.
Mm-hmm. I concur. I think maybe
I'm surprised you went that high, Eric. After saying the second, you only listen to the first side.
Well, I was trying to be provocative. I mean, I like stuff on the second side, but it's just striking how the quality drops off.
It's a little front-loaded. I mean, there's a lot of good records that are front-loaded, like, Joshua Tree is a front-loaded album.
Right.
I mean, so
I
can make the same joke about that album.
A lot of good women who are front-loaded also, if you know what I mean.
I don't. What
Especially
do you mean?
when they listen to Quad City DJs.
That's right. Good singles.
When they dance to Quad City DJs.
Yeah, nice singles. Was that what I remember?
So it's a good album. It's almost a great album.
Yep.
It's maybe a little endearing with its flaws.
Yeah, I would agree.
Mankind being the obvious exception to that rule for me. Where are we going to do in the second half, Gary?
We're going to come back and we're going to talk about The Island of Dr. Moreau. John Frankenheimer /
Richard Stanley.
I mean, he only was directed for 4 days, so it's John Frankenheimer's film. It's John Frankenheimer's mess.
He's to blame.
Spoiler alert.
We'll be back and jump back into all the controversy surrounding that film when we come back.
Kilmer didn't like Brando, Brando didn't like Kilmer, they all didn't like Frankenheimer, Frankenheimer didn't like them.
When Frankenheimer was on set one day, I remember him saying to a few of us that were standing around, if I was directing a film called The Life of Val Kilmer, I wouldn't have that prick in it.
Well, Frankenheimer was equally powerless to wrangle these massive egos.
I think he started to get a bit depressed at some points, and I would go and cheer him up, on night shoots. I would go and find him, and we would chat a little bit.
We had a late call. It was a night shoot. We got everybody, all the Beast people in their makeups. We go trucking out to set. We're out sitting around, and we're sitting around, and we're sitting around. Nothing's happening. Finally, we corral the AD, and we're just like, what's happening? What's going on? And he's like, well, Marlon won't come out of his trailer till Val comes out of his trailer. And Val won't come out of his trailer till Marlon comes out of his trailer. And we're like, oh, you gotta be kidding me.
Welcome back to My So-Called Podcast. We just got done talking about No Code. Now we're going to turn our attention to The Island of Dr. Moreau, released the same week as No Code.
And there you heard a little bit of the documentary made about that movie called Lost Soul, The Doom Journey of Richard Stanley's Island of Dr. Moreau, which is we'll be referencing quite a bit. I will, at least, on this podcast, and it's streaming on Amazon Prime right now.
Yeah, I saw that.
To get in the mood, the movies, you know, we should probably talk about what else was out, right?
Yeah, that's what we usually do. I don't know. You don't want to change the format now in the middle of recording.
Maybe I do. Number 10.
Yep.
Escape from L.A.
Oh, yeah. John Carpenter's remake, kind of, sequel,
I want to see
remake.
that. I
Yeah.
want to see that.
Oh, yeah.
All I remember is that I didn't like that movie. I felt bad for Kurt Russell, and it had some really unfortunate jet ski CGI.
I think that was the last time I watched it.
Yeah, that's all I remember. Number 9, Solo, A Star Wars Story.
No, you're wrong. It's a Mario Van Peebles joint.
Oh, so does he play Lando Calrissian?
Yes. You know, there was a Marvel superhero called Solo. I don't think he's playing that character either.
No.
No.
Do you think he's maybe playing a Solo Cup?
I think he's playing Spider-Man.
Keg Cup?
Yeah.
Number 8, Emma.
Oh, yeah, with Gwyneth Paltrow.
This is
Goop herself.
Yeah, this is when Goop got sexually harassed by Weinstein.
Oh, that's right.
This is the portion of her career where she got Weinsteined.
That's not cool. You know?
Well, it is a verb now.
Yeah, I guess.
She was getting Weinstein by the guy himself, and she was dating Ben Affleck at the time, right?
Oh, maybe.
And she told him, and he was like, "That sucks.
Oh, yeah.
I'm gonna make 10 more movies with him."
Yeah.
I don't know why he's from the Bronx.
He's trying to do a Boston accent, I think.
Oh yeah. Well, how does that go?
You from Southie?
That's okay. Moving on. Number 7, The Fan.
De Niro, Snipes,
Tony Scott.
The Fan.
So what I remember about that movie is that it seemed like Tony Scott forgot how to do medium and wide shots.
Oh,
like the whole movie is like up everybody's noses.
With a rubber hose?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So the deal is that De Niro's really into Wesley Snipes' baseball player character. Mm-hmm. Is that the deal?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And starts stalking him.
Yeah.
It's a real Lucan situation.
That's what it is.
Got to go to Lucan's.
Yeah.
Number 6, Our Independence Day.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Still in August?
Yeah. At this point, it had made $274 million domestic.
Nice.
On a $75
No
million
wonder they
budget.
made a sequel 20 years later.
That nobody watched,
Yeah.
even though it had Jeff Goldblum.
Yeah.
Okay, here's an either or. Would you rather have our current president or Bill Pullman? Not Bill Pullman, the president at Independence Day.
Oh, Bill Pullman.
But Bill
No,
Pullman, the
you
actor.
can stop. Bill Pullman. I'd rather have Bill Pullman.
Anyone.
Yeah.
I don't know Bill Pullman's politics, but I'm willing to take a crapshoot that it's better than the current president.
Yeah.
Anyone.
Number 5, Jack.
Oh, yeah. Francis Ford Coppola's masterpiece.
So this is
Jack.
where it's getting to the point where I realize that, and they've talked about this a little bit on how did this get made. 96 was a rough year for cinema.
Yeah.
There was some bad movies coming out.
was-
Already, just in this top 5, we've got Escape from L.A., The Fan, Independence Day, Jack.
It was difficult
Yeah, it
to
was.
pick the one for this podcast.
Yes. So it was August of one of the worst film years ever.
Yeah.
Number 4, A Time to Kill. Which I think it would probably be good for a podcast, because I think at the time I thought was good.
Yeah.
Not sure that's going to hold
Well,
up
I feel
to
that
time.
it's Joel Schumacher. You never know. Like, you think he's doing a decent movie, but then you look at it and you're like, no, he's not a good director, so... Yeah.
I think he can be competent,
Yeah.
and he can be incompetent.
That's, yeah, indubitably.
But he was really riding a wave of fame, because this was a big summer movie that was pretty popular, and then the previous summer was Val Kilmer and Batman Forever.
Oh, yeah.
Now, he had yet to jump the shark with Batman and Robin.
No, right.
Number 3, a very Brady sequel, which was in the running to watch.
Which is actually a good movie.
I've never seen either of the Brady movies.
I definitely saw the first one.
So the first one, is kind of a little bit by... I'm thinking the second one, they have like Jan and Grey kind of like falling in love, and it's just like it's really subverts the because they're like, oh, why not? Let's go all out.
I want to say that the director of Wayne's World made those.
Yep.
No way.
Way. Number 2, Tin Cup, which is a movie I went to see at the theater.
Yeah.
And I'll say it worked on me. I went to see it on a Friday night with my friend Jason Persinger, and the next day I made him take me to play golf for the first time in my life.
Oh, nice.
And it was fun. Because he lived out in the country.
That's what's great about movies is like you watch them and you want to live it. You wanted to play golf. After I watched Backdraft, I wanted to be a firefighter.
Well, when I went to play golf, I hired a prostitute to dress up like Rene Russo and distract me while I played.
After
I was
watched,
really trying to live the life.
After I watched Pretty Woman, I hired a prostitute.
Yeah, pretty much every time I watch a movie, I hire a prostitute. But
I just really like prostitutes.
So after you watched Dr. Moreau...
Yeah, I hired Stan Winston and a prostitute.
I was able to hire Fairuza Balk. She's not doing anything these days.
She was busy in the 90s, though.
Yeah, she was.
Number 1, with a bullet, The Island of Dr. Moreau.
Really?
Oh, yeah.
They're starving. I think. How many new movies? Solo.
Well, like I said, Solo, a very Brady sequel, and The Island of Dr. Moreau.
Yeah,
you have to remember though, like the star power here of Kilmer.
Yeah, Val Kilmer was just
he was one of the biggest movie stars there was at this point.
Was Top Gun. I mean, I don't really remember that movie, but I'm pretty sure he was Top Gun.
I think Top Gun's the name of the school.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I did not go see this, but I definitely remember it just like kind of being a big deal because I think Brando hadn't maybe done anything in a while.
Right.
Well, he had done Don Juan DeMarco was before this, wasn't it?
Yes.
Yeah.
And he had done that for New Line, and he was a pain in the ass for that movie apparently too. But nowhere near. No one could have predicted how much of a pain this production would have been.
Yeah. So okay.
Well, I mean, I guess you could have predicted some of it.
So I guess you heard a little bit of the disaster that this movie was from the people that were making it at the intro. So Scott, either this movie is a bad movie because of the circumstances that went into it getting made, or The Island of Dr. Moreau is just kind of a bad idea for a movie.
It was just a bad movie.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
I mean,
Wait, you came up with a third thing?
It works.
Well, yeah, I mean, I know it comes from an H.G. Wells novel,
right,
which I haven't read before, but it just, I mean, even though they were difficult, it just sucked so badly.
I think I agree with you. I think this would have been bad no matter who made it. Even if Richard Stanley did.
There was just nothing compelling about it at all.
It
wasn't interesting.
Boring. What do you have to say, Eric? Let's hear what you have to say.
So the Jodorowsky's Dune. Have you seen that?
No.
So that's a documentary about Jodorowsky, who's this art fringe cult director.
Yeah.
Who was gonna make Dune, and then the studio took it from him before he even started and gave it to
Lynch.
David Lynch who screwed the pooch on making it. And I think the similar question can be asked if Jodorowsky would have made Dune. Would it still have been an unwatchable mess? Maybe. So the Lost Souls tells the story of Richard Stanley, who at the very least really wanted to make a movie out of the Island of Dr. Moreau. It wasn't like they plucked him from somewhere and said, this is a project you should work on.
Sold it.
He wrote it. He had been working on it for a long time. He had a passion for how he wanted to bring it to the screen, and he had an idea of what it was going to be like and everything. Unfortunately, he'd never made a large picture before. So he wasn't very good at commanding the large crew and everything. And Val Kilmer happened to him. And Val showed up and pretty much destroyed all of his hopes of being able to manage making the movie. And the weather was terrible. Mm-hmm. And so the story is, right, that, you know, the powers that be fired Richard Stanley, replaced him with Frankenheimer in hopes to cut their losses, which they did eventually.
I mean, they lost money.
They lost money, but they cut their losses. The last thing the producer says in the documentary is, oh yeah, we lost money on the picture, but not nearly as much as we would have lost if we didn't have a picture.
Oh, sure, yeah.
And so that's what they were trying to do at that point. But the question is, if they had gambled on Stanley and let him do his thing, would it be more compelling? And I think it at least would be more interesting.
Well, yeah, I guess because this is a nothing movie. I mean, everything in it, it's just like, oh, why? Why am I even watching this?
Right.
You know, because nothing makes sense, almost.
Right. Well, you have to understand that the things that came... So, let's tell the story of the movie as best we can.
Yeah.
David Thewlis.
Yes.
Professor Lupin.
We see,
on a boat. He's on a boat.
Yeah.
He's in a raft.
He's in a raft.
Just a raft.
With two other dudes. They fight and get eaten by a shark.
Eaten by a shark right away.
He's alone.
Yep.
He gets rescued.
By Val Kilmer.
By Val Kilmer, who's on a bigger boat. He's going somewhere, but he makes David Thewlis better. Montgomery is the name of Val Kilmer. I don't remember what David Thewlis' character's name is. Look it up, Gary.
Douglas. Yeah, that was his last name, Douglas.
So it's hard to tell at first what year is it. It becomes clear that it's present day.
Yeah.
It's like 96 or whatever.
It's actually set in the future. It's supposed to be 2010, as according to the Wikipedia page.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
I did not pick up on that.
Yeah, I didn't either.
Okay.
Right, so, I mean, you can take that with a grain of salt, but Wikipedia said it was supposed to be 2010.
So maybe that's why it felt like the present day to me.
Yeah.
So anyway, before I get back to it, it's about 7 minutes into this movie, and I have a note. Val is chewing the scenery. Like, he hasn't even really done anything yet, but he's wearing a sarong. Yeah. There's parts where he gets asked a question and he just doesn't answer for like a super long time. Like, in the finished product, you can tell that he's screwing with the filmmaker, and I can't even imagine what got left on the cutting room floor. I did think one of the ways that the studio tried to salvage this movie, I thought was sort of funny, because this is maybe 10 months after 7 or so, and that opening credit sequence is very 7. You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah, the opening credits.
The cuts happen super fast, and the words are all wonky, and it's kind of loud, and like techno music. They're like, yeah, this is basically 7, guys.
Check it out. This is gonna be awesome.
What are you looking up, Gary?
I was just checking to see. Yeah, in 2010, United Nations negotiator Edward Douglas survives a plane crash in the Java Sea. So
all right,
take that with a
Good thing they said it in the future. That
Yeah,
really
exactly.
was, like, very integral to the plot.
Richard Stanley had a reason to want to do that because he wanted to be in the present day because he wanted it to be commenting on current events in current society, as opposed to like 1930s Britain or whatever. Like
Right.
Because H.G. Wells was commenting on current
Yeah, and
events.
this was actually 100 years since the publication of the book.
Right.
It was 1896.
What a way to mark that anniversary.
Yeah, exactly. By shitting on his legacy.
Steaming pile. And they kind of tacked that on the end, right? There was like that whole, like where, basically...
News
spoiler
footage.
alert, but
No.
Essentially...
You cannot spoil
There's
it.
no
Don't watch
spoiler.
it.
Spoiler,
Yeah.
it's terrible.
I mean, it was just like, are we man, are we animals? Or,
Are we the animals?
But
Are we regressing?
There's nothing about that at all
No.
in the movie. They just, tack it on.
Yeah.
This
Right.
means something, guys. Check it out.
This means something.
Well, I think
Go to
that
Devil's
is
Tower.
Frankenheimer's way of making an end to the movie that doesn't have Brando or Kilmer in it, because he just didn't want to make any more scenes with them in it.
Well, their characters die in the book.
They do?
Yeah.
Okay.
I was reading about the book.
Well, Moreau dies, yes, for
Yeah.
sure.
And Montgomery dies also.
In the book.
Yeah.
It's sort of anticlimactic when it happens in this movie. But, I mean, is there any climax? Anyway,
there's not.
so Montgomery locks him in a room.
Some explosions. Yeah. Okay.
Montgomery locks him in a room. He
He
escapes from the room immediately.
Almost, yeah. It's kind of like, what is going on?
he walks to Fruza Balk, who's dancing.
Well, that happens
Sort of scares her.
before he gets locked in the room.
But then she's like, I'm going to get you out of here.
Yeah, so, no, okay.
Yeah.
You're messing up the plot. So he meets Faraz.
I'm messing up the plot.
You're like a John Frankenheimer. So Val Kilmer brings him to the island. He says it's Dr. Moreau's island. Douglas says, I've heard of Moreau. He does not alien, but animal. Animal experiments.
Right.
And that's why they kicked him off.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Also, Montgomery kills a rabbit.
Oh, yeah, you need that too, yeah. And it's kind of like, okay. Then he sees Fruza Balk.
That scene is pretty funny, though. Because, he's got a bunch of rabbits, and he puts them from one cage to a larger cage of rabbits. There's a lot of rabbit manipulation. And then he pulls out one rabbit, and David Thewlis is like, oh, cute. And he pets its head. And then Val Kilmer puts it close to his face, and he kisses it.
Yeah.
And then Val Kilmer kills the rabbit. And David Thewlis is like, oh, man. I was like, what is going on?
That's nuts.
I think that's my favorite part of the movie is that little kiss.
Yeah.
That was good. I also liked when after Moreau dies and
Whoa,
Val Kilmer's,
spoiler alert!
Yeah.
Val Kilmer's doing kind of like a Brando
He's doing
as
a
Dr. Moreau impression.
Yeah.
That was kind of funny.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's got many shirts stuffed into his shirt for his gut.
And then, David Thewlis just has that throwaway line and Montgomery's insane. And it's like, oh, okay.
Really?
Anyway, so Montgomery takes him to I was messing up the plot.
Yeah, so takes him to the big house. He says, you gotta stay in the compound, don't go out.
But he doesn't listen.
No, but not yet. He does kind of listen. It's not
Sees
until
the Nobel
later
Prizes.
the night that Val Kilmer locks David Thewlis in his room.
Okay.
And then he's able to break out right away.
And is that when Fruza Balk takes him for a run?
So then he goes into the laboratory and sees
Oh,
the
yeah!
baby.
So
and he just
the
goes
birthing,
into...
the birthing scene of the hog woman,
Yes.
getting the dog men birthing the baby, is an original Richard Stanley thing. That
Okay.
was he and his people that originally wrote the screenplay. They had several works of art, not that many, 6 or 8, works of art of like, this is the vibe we're going for. And one of them was the dogmen standing around the hog lady as she gave birth. And like the dogmen were like licking the surgical instruments in the background and stuff. And so I feel like that is probably very the Richard Stanley vision that made it. I mean, parts of this movie were directed by him.
Yeah.
He did shoot
only for 4 days. How much
in Cairn, but that's the name of the island they were shooting on.
Yeah.
But they actually shot some stuff in interiors before they went there, and that was in a surgical suite in a studio. Somewhere.
That would have been like Rob Morrow was originally supposed to play Douglas.
Right. So they must have shot the hog lady and dog people.
Oh, right.
And then they had to reshoot Thulis sneaking in.
Yeah, okay. That's why it doesn't really work.
There's a lot
kind
of oh yeah, that's the problem.
Yeah.
I mean, I think that kind of answers the either or for me. Like, oh, okay. Now I'm definitely thinking that it just would have been a horrible movie.
Yeah. I mean, it just depends on where it would have gone from there, but like I mean, that's a real shocker. Like it just
because
it
comes out of nowhere.
But it's not easy to like. I didn't really follow it like that. It was a hog woman and like it's just like deformed.
Well,
people.
that
like, were
probably
they mutants
comes
or toxic. Or
don't you think that comes from them? They're just trying to cobble together scenes, like,
and then
it's hard to
and
connect
that's
the dots.
Like the first. So, and that is the first thing that we see that maybe there's something wrong with the island. I mean, sure, he gets locked in. He says, "Don't stay on the compound. Don't
There's
go."
Something wrong with Montgomery,
right? Yeah. But then he sneaks out. He goes into this thing and he sees this hog woman being not just giving birth, but I think she's having like a C-section even, and this close up of the baby, and it's kind of like that. Was like, oh, wait, something's going on this island. And he decides to run out. And that's when Fairuza Balk just out of nowhere shows up.
Right.
Let me get you out of here.
Well, I think that's a rewrite of the screenplay and a cutting together of stuff. They're like, okay, we have to get him somewhere.
Right.
So we still have Fairuza, so she's going to take him somewhere.
Yeah, and so they often run. And then there's even like a point where I don't know if it's ADR Val Kilmer yelling something as they run away or what, but I was like, wait, where's he coming from?
Yeah, and then they run to the priest guy who's sort of like the leader of the religion. They like go underground.
Mm-hmm. Yes,
and he's telling his deal is
Ron
like
Perlman.
Oh yeah,
and his
pre-Hellboy.
Yeah.
Post Beast.
Yeah, Beauty and the Beast. Yeah.
And he's sort of like telling everybody this is what we believe as people, and she's like, you have to help him. He's a 5-finger.
Yeah.
Which is, there's a lot of 5-finger stuff in that sequence, but never again.
No.
And then the priest guy, he's like, we should help him. And then they just go up and give him to Val Kilmer.
Well, right. No, not only that, but I think doesn't Moreau
nice job, Fairuza.
Yeah. Thanks for saving me.
Like Val Kilmer and
Panther Lady.
Doesn't Marlon Brando show up at that point too? And it's kind of like they're running through the jungle, and you get the feeling that Fairuza Balk's taking him to a secret place,
like a secret hiding place, or a secret boat to get off the island.
But no. It's there, and Dr. Moreau knows about it, you know.
Not only does Val Kilmer find them, Dr. Moreau does, and he's being carried very slowly by people on some sort of a platform.
Right. And I think it's like nighttime when he breaks out of his room.
Yes, it is.
And it's daytime and it's kind of like...
Right.
Wait.
By the time they talk to the priest and go back up, it's daytime.
Right.
So it helped... Not at all to talk to the priest.
No.
And he's
useless.
It's unclear that he's helpful in any way.
No, it's very clear he's useless.
Yeah. So
he shows up later also being useless.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, and he's there to sort of like, well, we'll stay on this island.
Yep.
And who's really a beast
it's Ron
if you
Perlman.
think about it?
Ron Perlman, I believe, has the fifth credit or something like that. Yeah, after.
Yeah, unrecognizable.
Well, that's him.
Is he that guy or the hyena?
No, Perlman's the
Is anybody famous hyena?
I think Jango Fett played.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
So anyway, Marlon Brando shows up at this point. He's wearing white face paint. He's got like a nylon sock on his head. He's wearing black sunglasses.
Yeah.
A muumuu.
Yes, I'm
And
glad
a
you said
giant
Mooroo,
hat.
because that's exactly.
And Nelson De La Rosa in tow, the short little guy.
Right.
Who was the world's shortest man when he was.
Right.
Yeah.
He was 27 years old and 17 inches tall.
Yeah.
And there's some stories in... so he's like the mini-me, the proto-mini-me.
Right.
That was Brando's idea, for him to dress up like him and be hanging around him, because the guy who was in Europa, who's like, I don't know what the name of the character is, but he's got sort of refined, and he's got blonde hair, and it's coming down his face. You don't even recognize him as being a part of the movie, but he was supposed to be one of the main characters that was by Brando's side of the whole movie. But basically, Brando wrote him out of the movie by saying, no, I'm going to have this Nelson De La Rosa next to me all the time, not you. So that was... so basically, he lost his part. His name is Marco Hofschneider, and he was the character of Maling. Maling was supposed to be like a big part of the movie. His character was
he's a big part of the book.
Right.
Like, he's actually... when I was reading the plot of the book, because I didn't read the book either, but Douglas meets Maling first. Maling's actually on the boat that picks up Douglas in the book.
Right. So this guy, Hofschneider, he's like, oh, I'm going to be in a big Hollywood movie.
Yeah.
And I have one of the most interesting parts. Well, great.
All right.
And then Brando shows up and he's like, I think I'm going to have this guy by me instead.
I'm going to make an offer, you guy.
And so then instead of him playing an integral part in following the screenplay, Brando's like, no, I'm just going to have a mini-me.
Yeah. It was also Brando's idea to put a bucket of ice on his head. That Perusa bulk needs to refill.
Yeah, it was.
Yeah.
It was. And the white paint.
Yeah.
And the sunglasses. And
And the Moo
yeah, well,
because he saw that.
No, he
Simpsons
just
episode.
that wasn't costuming.
I think there was a real need to cover up his body in some way, but he was just winging it. At one point, he admitted to Fairuza Balk that he has never read any of the versions of the screenplay. Mm-hmm. He had a personal assistant in his trailer reading the dialogue into his ear in an earbud, and he would just repeat what she said.
Wow.
But he's been known to do that before. That was not. This isn't the first time Brando.
And
has
hilarity
done that.
ensues,
Yeah.
just like a sitcom.
Oh, I was going to say the white paint and the sunglasses and everything might have been his way to... his stand-in could easily pass for him, so he had to be in less of the takes because of that outfit.
He really wasn't in it that much either.
No.
Oh, and his accent is different in every scene.
Yeah. Brando.
He's a real genius of an actor.
You know, I've seen On the Waterfront, and he's great in On the Waterfront.
Yeah.
And,
Cat on a Hot Tin Roof is good.
that's Paul Newman.
Oh, sorry.
You're thinking of Streetcar Named Desire.
Streetcar, yeah. Oh, Streetcar.
Yeah, exactly.
That's what I meant. Paul Newman, better.
Yep. Yeah. Paul Newman would have been great in The Island of Dr. Moreau.
Any part, really.
Yep.
Yeah.
So anyway, he shows up, and it turns out he's got a little shocker device.
Yeah, it shocks all the
makes
people.
makes the animals break dance.
Oh, right. Yep.
So that's how he keeps his tight hold over them. And then
That 2010 technology.
And
Yeah,
then he
exactly.
he makes Val Kilmer give his gun to David Thewlis.
Yep, and so David Lewis has a gun for the rest of the movie until he gets.
And
taken
Val
out.
Kilmer's like, "What? All right, who cares?" I wonder if Brando just said that. Give the gun to him. Like, I wonder if it was even in the screenplay.
Right, yeah,
who
who
knows?
knows?
The next scene, they're back at having dinner.
Yeah,
And David Thewlis is having dinner with Brando and his whole family.
right.
Of weirdos. Dog people, cat people.
Yep,
Fruza Balk, the little guy.
yep.
And at this point, it's a little weird, David Douglas's reaction. Because they're clearly sentient humanoid beings. But he's just like, he's against it. He is against it
very
in
pissy,
every way, shape, or form. He does not give Moreau a chance to talk his way out of it or anything. He's just like, this is an abomination.
Yeah.
You know, like, look at these freaks. And they're like sitting right next to him.
No offense.
I'm wearing a tux, man. Come on.
No offense to you freaks, but they're freaks, man.
So I at that point was sort of not caring much about him either.
No.
Like, because the way to care about this would be you either care about him or you care about some of the animals.
Right.
Right? And there's a part where later on in the movie, the hyena character sort of is the one that figures out how to rip out his shaka device.
Well, yeah, so we gotta find, or no, I mean, they saw...
And so that could be the person you care about,
Yeah.
but they throw that away too. Go ahead.
Well, they find a dead rabbit in the woods, Fruzabok and Thulis.
Okay, I want you to tell me this exposition. They find a dead rabbit. Go ahead.
No, that's all it is.
And
Well,
so what happens as a result?
They tell that to Moreau that they found a dead rabbit, and so he has a trial
Why do they have a trial?
because they can't kill animals.
So we're to believe all these giant carnivores that are 6 feet tall and muscular are getting by on what? Lettuce?
Yeah, I don't know.
They're all vegetarians.
We never see them eat, but like they're like panthers and cougars,
Right.
and they're carnivores. So part of the plot is that they're vegan.
Yep.
Here's a nice little cage of rabbits. Don't eat them.
Yeah.
That is so odd. And then so they have a trial, and I think Brando's gonna shock this guy who killed the rabbit.
Yeah.
But one of his sons kills him.
Yep.
And that makes Hyena mad.
Yeah, that kind of that finally, whatever time that is in the movie, it kind of finally
It's about an hour.
starts the ball rolling.
It's a
of like,
95-minute
yeah,
movie.
and it's kind of like, okay, this is the inciting incident. Finally,
It's interesting too how they're not supposed to kill anybody, but they have like machine guns, like a whole arsenal.
Well, the thing is like Val has a one gun that he gives to David Thewlis, and then it's some sort of a gun. The son that kills the cat person. That's a cool outfit, by the way. I'm pretty impressed with a lot of Stan Winston's work.
yeah.
The cat person that gets killed.
I had
That's
a
an awesome.
Cheetah thing. Yeah,
I had a problem with the CGI of it running away.
Ooh, yeah,
Yeah.
I put down, ooh, CGI never ages well.
No.
All of the practical stuff looks fine still,
Yeah.
but the CGI is like, woof, woof.
Yeah, that's like
or
wow,
meow.
wow.
Yippee yo, yippee yay.
They
Bow,
look
wow,
like
yippee yo, yippee yay.
Fruza Bog's cat sounds
Yeah.
when she's getting attacked.
Oh yeah. So that was pretty ridiculous.
But anyway, and then he kills him with like what seems like sort of a an execution device for cows or whatever, like
Like
sort
a
of like
bolt.
No Country, a bolt
yeah.
gun. So it seems at that point, an hour into the movie, that there aren't that many weapons in the movie. But then later on in the movie, it's
There's
everybody
machine
has a
guns,
machine gun.
There's explosions. There's a rocket launcher.
Yeah.
Some guy's driving a tank.
They find like things of gas to blow up. And,
Yeah, exactly. They got all these.
They set the dock on fire.
Yeah.
How about that scene where David Thewlis decides to try to escape, but then like
What
little
was
rat
that?
dobby creatures
Yeah,
jump
what?
out,
It made no sense.
and he's like, "Bah!" and then he's back with.
He dives in the water. He jumps in the water.
Okay, so yeah. First off, he's going to the boat. He's gonna escape, but he sees some kind of freak animal, and it shocks him in a way like, you just saw all these other freak animals. Why
Yeah.
is this freak animal?
Yeah, did they bite him or anything?
Yeah, no.
They're just like, "Ah."
Exactly.
That was weird. And those looked like straight up animated.
Yeah.
That was like Cool World.
Yep.
Then he's trying to get the communications thing to work, and like Val Kilmer shows up, and he's got like the part on his head.
You need this.
He's wearing it as a hat.
Yep.
Yeah, that's true. He's like the motherboard or whatever.
Yeah,
He's like,
yeah.
well, you'll need this. And then he just leaves it on his head for a really long time.
That's kind of funny.
There's a
actually.
scene about 50 minutes in where Val takes his hat off and he has another hat under his hat.
Oh, I didn't notice that.
Yeah, you'll have to check that out.
I won't.
I have
I'm
in
not
my
gonna check it
note Val with a hat on his hat. And then I have 55 minutes in, Brando has a damn pot on his head.
Oh, that was the ice bucket. Yeah. That was ridiculous. And it even, like, they call out to it because he's, like, sitting there. Veruza Balk's come like, we need to talk. And he's like, I'm getting a little hot. And she's like, oh, here, let me get you some ice.
Why did you move to a tropical island?
Yeah,
You don't like heat.
I can't stand the heat. Stupid.
And then whenever he gets killed by Hyena and his boys, Hyena says, I am the law. Because that was such a big hit line in Judge Dredd that they wanted to say it again. So then it becomes like, you need the rule of law, you need me shocking y'all with my device. And then Hyena is taken over. And the inmates are running the asylum. Yeah. Supposedly.
Right.
Right? And then what happens, Scott?
What does
There's like different. There's like different factions. Like the one son and like the Tux is kind of, he goes and
what's his deal?
I don't know what his deal is. But then Montgomery kind of does the Brando impression, which is kind of amusing.
He tries to be
then
the
starts
new
a rave, I think.
He's trying to be the new father.
At the point,
Yeah.
after Brando dies, Kilmer dresses up like Brando and sort of does his Brando impression, and then goes down, and there seems to be either a rave or an orgy of some sort.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
The Hyena and his friends burn down the dock.
Yep.
And then Tuck's dogman shows up and he's like, I have a gun.
Right.
And they're like, a gun?
Right.
I know where to get more guns.
Oh, great. The movie's going to have more guns now.
Yeah. That's
more
ridiculous.
Okay, and then I have a note that just says the action at the end is incomprehensible. Who is where? What is why? What's happening?
Yeah, and the guy in the Tux just goes and decides to kill everybody. Like, he kills Veruza.
Yeah, and what's
Well,
his
yeah,
deal?
they
He
get into a
kills
fight.
Montgomery, kills
Yeah.
for... Why does he kill... That's his sister.
Yeah.
Well, she was fighting back. She was trying to save Thewlis, David Thewlis.
She was
What does he care about David Thewlis? He's a non-factor.
Yeah, that's the thing, too, that it's kind of like, why do they care about him?
I could see them hating Moreau.
Yeah.
Or Montgomery.
Because they were oppressing him. But David Thewlis was, I'm just here, I'll leave.
Honestly, if you think about the dog Tux guy, Moreau's his dad. We never see that he doesn't like him.
Right.
And Montgomery's just weird all the time.
And I don't think
he doesn't do anything to anybody. In fact, he's getting them all high.
And
we need to talk about how, like, so these animals are supposed to be animals that were spliced with human DNA. It's not like, so they were animals and they regress back to animals.
So I would not say that I am supposed to understand.
No,
that,
I know, right.
You know this from some other source, because I don't think
No,
that those words are
exactly.
spoken.
Yeah.
So Thulis finds out that they have like his DNA and they were going to do something with it.
And then
But it sounded like they lured him there to do that, or like he was there on purpose.
Right, no.
Right. It's like, why?
Exactly.
He's kind of annoying.
And it's kind of like, so yeah, they took some of your blood, dude. He acts like it's a tragedy, like
Right.
he is devastated by
can't
this news.
believe it.
I
I thought they were going to save my life,
but they were here to use me in their twisted experiments.
Exactly.
It's like, what? and you would think there would be a scene where somebody's like, this is what my experiments are.
Yeah.
Here's how I do it.
Right.
And this is what has happened.
I would imagine that
And this
that
is what I want to
scene
happen.
was written. If you can't control the actors,
Right.
you know.
I was thinking how different it would be if this was by J.J. Abrams. Like, it'd be 2 hours in and Douglas still wouldn't know what was going on the island, and we'd all be really curious. But, as opposed to, like, 20 minutes in, Hog Lady Birth.
I was watching this thinking it would be a really great like mystery science theater movie because I wanted to be like cracking jokes about it the whole
Definitely
time.
the last half hour for sure. Yeah, so after I have action at the end is incomprehensible, who is where, what is why, I then have guns bore me, explosions bore me, and then for the final scene, whoa, deep.
Yeah.
I mean, they even had a scene where David Thewlis and Fairuza Balk jump out of an explosion.
And go flying.
Exactly. Yeah. It's like you don't get any more action cliche than that. And it's like, this movie does not... I did not know we were going to end up there when we started.
Well, and it's funny because it's like, what would it look like if these characters were jumping out of an explosion? Is kind of what it's like. But we don't get them there in any way.
Yeah.
Yeah, I thought it was going to be like some kind of like psychological drama and like slow kind of, you know, what is going on. But no, there's guns.
Well,
and
that's what
explosions.
Stanley's version was supposed to be as an art film. Originally, it was going to be a $5 million art version, like trippy art version of this movie. It was going to be James Woods would be Montgomery, and Bruce Willis was going to be Douglas.
Oh.
And they had signed
He was
on
riding
for it.
high.
Yeah.
Bruce Willis would have been good.
It was going to be $5 to $8 million independent film, low radar kind of a thing. But then Brando got interested somehow. And then they signed Kilmer because they wanted a star. Mm-hmm. And so once they signed Kilmer, James Woods was out. And Bruce Willis stopped being a part of the picture because that was when he was getting divorced with Demi. Mm-hmm. And so they needed to replace him. They replaced him with Rob Morrow because Val Kilmer didn't want to be Douglas because he thought it was boring. So he was like, well, I need Val Kilmer in the movie. And so Stanley had the idea of making him Montgomery. Mm-hmm. But he would come on the set with Richard Stanley and Kilmer, and Richard Stanley would be like, can you stand there and say this line? And he'd be like, no. I'm not gonna. I don't think I would say that. And he'd be like, well, it's been in the screenplay for like a few years now, so I'm the director. And he'd say stuff like, well, directors go behind the camera, so stop being over here talking to me. And then he would just say whatever he wanted.
Oh, geez.
So that was the kind of thing that he was dealing with. Because Kilmer was, obviously at the height of his popularity.
Yeah, it's a shame he's such a jerk. I like Val Kilmer from Real Genius.
Yeah.
Top Secret.
Yeah.
Willow.
Mm-hmm. Did he do anything after?
Then
this was a big
like not.
Yeah.
But then he's great in Kiss Kiss Bang Bang.
Yeah, I wouldn't say he's great in that, but that's great.
Yeah.
He was in The Saint. I saw that. I remember. He was in The Ghost in the Darkness this same summer,
yeah.
and neither one of those were very good or popular. At least The Ghost in the Darkness made sense. Oh, he was good in Heat.
Oh,
Was Heat 96?
Heat was 95. Then The Saint in 97. And then At First Sight was a rom-com with Mira Sorvino where he was unblind.
Yeah.
And then Red Planet, which was a Mars action movie. The Salton Sea.
Get your ass to Mars.
Wonderland.
Your body is
Much. Wonderland was he was a porn star.
Oh,
And
yeah,
then-
he was good in that. He played.
That's a good movie.
Yeah.
And then 2005, Kiss Kiss Bang Bang, and not a ton since.
He's actually sick. He's pretty sick these days.
Yeah. It doesn't change the fact that he was a complete asshole
Yeah,
at this
it's-
time of his life.
No.
I don't know if he has been throughout his life, but he definitely made it so that if Richard Stanley could have directed this movie, who knows, he could not direct Val Kilmer.
No.
And no one could direct Marlon Brando.
Right. Well, not at this stage.
No.
I mean, Coppola was able to pull it off in
Right.
79.
No, yeah. I mean, nobody could have directed him at this point.
Right.
They would wait. So everybody would get all their monster makeup on. That would take 3.5 hours.
Oh, yeah.
And then they'd show up on the set about 8 a.m. And then Marlon would roll in about lunchtime and grab Frankenheimer and take him to his trailer for a couple hours, rewriting scenes. And they would finally get to work around 3. This is when Frankenheimer was supposedly in charge.
Right.
It was a mess.
John Frankenheimer's directed good movies, too. French Connection.
Yeah, The Manchurian Candidate.
Yep.
But that's like 30 years before this movie.
Still.
Yeah, he's directed...
Ronin. You did Ronin.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So apparently he got Ronin and Reindeer Games and another movie as his payment for this. He got a 3-picture deal.
Nice.
And a ton of money. I guess what happened is that they called a bunch of directors to try to take over the movie. And his wife was like, well, I don't want you to do that because you'll be gone for 6 months, but just ask for way more than you think they'll give you, and you'll either won't have to do it or we're going to be very happy.
Oh, yeah.
And so he did it for the money, and none of the movies on his, if you look at his IMDb, there's nothing that's science fiction, horror, genre at all.
Right.
He's not into that at all. So he's just like, well, some explosions.
Yeah, right.
That'll fix everything.
Exactly. He wanted to put a car chase underneath the L.
There's a little bit of a car
Jeep
chase
or
thing
something.
where the
exactly.
Jeep's like ramming the gate, I think.
Yeah.
But it's unclear why anyone's doing anything at the end. It's hard for me to stress how little the final 30 minutes makes sense. Like, yes, you get the impression that perhaps Val Kilmer is wanting to become Moreau by dressing up like him, but without the shocking device, he can't be. So why would he try?
Well,
then why would the Tux dogman shoot him?
Yeah, I mean he
Who
has
cared?
like there's like the drug angle or the shots or whatever. Like he could potentially control them with that, but then the Tux guy just kind of walks up and shoots him for no reason whatsoever.
Right, and we don't know what the Tux guy's angle is. What's he trying to do?
Yeah.
What's Hyena trying to do? And then they have this, we forgot about that. Hyena and his machine gunning toting guys are like yelling at the crowd. I don't remember why.
Well, they want to be the leader. They want to be in charge. So he's like, tell them I'm a god.
But why David Thewlis saying that he's a god? Why would they believe that?
Because he's the human.
I see.
And so the animals would believe the human saying it.
Well, so which of the animals believe humans what they say, and which one of them's just shoot them?
Right. I don't know.
It's unclear.
Yeah.
And then
I mean, so I think it's definitely unclear. I think there was supposed to be like levels of because some were regression, some experiments weren't as advanced as the others. Fairuza Balk was the crowning achievement of the experiments because she was a puma who looked completely like a human.
Who says that?
That's all the subtext.
I know that her teeth are getting sharper, and she's distressed by this.
She
needs the serum,
right,
which keeps her from regressing.
And they were planning on using David Thewlis's DNA to solve that regression.
And why does he have a problem with that?
I don't know.
I think he'd be happy with that, right?
I think she's a vampire.
Oh. No, yeah.
No. Remember, she's a cat lady because she jumps like real high.
And she's like,
and she makes like
and then
cat fight.
Her brother fashions a noose and just hangs her anticlimactically. Like one of the main characters all of a sudden is hanged. It's like, whoa.
Yeah.
Why?
They were done with her.
Tux Guy, who's a really important character because we can totally remember his name.
Tux Guy.
Just said everybody.
Yeah,
he just goes off.
We don't even. I don't even remember anybody's names.
Mm-mm.
He just goes off. And
as a Zello.
Yep. You guys have any thoughts about Mini-Me?
No. I mean, what is it? No.
I mean,
he wasn't the worst part of the movie.
No.
It is a sight whenever Brando's playing the piano and Mini-Me has a tiny piano on top of the big piano. Yeah. That's something. I don't know what it is.
There's like a naked shot of him.
Yeah, where he has like a butt tail.
Yeah.
So he was supposed to be that creature the whole movie. Because they made a body cast of him, and he was supposed to have like a tail and flippers and stuff, like he does in the one scene, the drugging the animal scene. So they must have shot that first, and then later on, he's more of a person because Brando wanted him to be a person that hung out with him, and they're like, all right. Wow. So both versions are in the movie with no explanation whatsoever. I think there's a feeling that I get from watching. So the first part of it, I was kind of interested. It was freaky. Val Kilmer's chewing the scenery, but I didn't have a problem with it. But then he just disappears for long stretches. I wasn't that entertained by Brando, and things start to make less sense. But like, yeah, you're ripping the transmitter out and you revolt and kill Moreau. Okay, I'm following. But then the last half, it's this gross feeling I get in the pit in my stomach where it's like no one cared what they were doing. You can just feel it watching it. Mm-hmm. The actors didn't care. The director didn't care.
They just wanted it to be done.
Can we just finish?
Us as viewers just wanted it to be done.
Right, yeah. It's like it doesn't exist for anyone.
Right.
That last part, except for money. They thought if they had an ending, maybe they could sell the movie on Val Kilmer. Mm-hmm. Oh, bad.
Well, we have a rating system here on My So-Called Podcast. Eric, do you have any clever stars?
4 stars would be like Hawaii.
Okay.
3 stars would be like Cuba.
Okay.
I mean, it's kind of stuck in the past, but I'm sure it's still beautiful.
It's a nice island.
Sketchy government.
Yeah. Well, okay.
Who doesn't have a sketchy government these days?
Exactly.
2 stars would be Michael Bay's The Island.
Okay.
And the 1 star would be
Great Britain. Brexit. Get it out of here.
Yeah, Brexit. I'm going to change 4 to the island of misfit toys.
Oh, okay. Scott, what are you going to give the 1996 masterpiece, Island of Dr. Moreau?
0.
Yeah.
0 stars.
1 star. I mean, I don't even know if you should watch it for how bad it is.
I think you could, if it's on TV and it's really late at night, and you and your friends want to make fun of it, yes fine.
Yes.
And for that, I will give it 0 stars, because it is not a movie.
No.
I do not think that this is a movie.
Yeah,
I think this is a collection of a lot of different people's attempts to cobble together something that looks like a movie, but it is not a movie.
So bad.
It's real bad.
It's real bad.
And I mean, David Thewlis is an excellent actor.
Yeah.
Is an excellent actor. He's always good in everything, but he has to be in a movie.
Yeah. I mean,
This isn't a movie.
He has to have a character that has motivation.
Right.
And
Well, at first he wants to get off the island. That's his motivation. But later on, it's unclear.
Right.
Yep. So Rotten Tomatoes tells me that if you like Island of Dr. Moreau, you will also like the Island of Dr. Moreau. That's it.
People who like this movie also like the Island of Dr. Moreau.
They're not wrong, so that's good.
I'm just afraid of that there are people who like this movie.
Yeah, I don't think
that
so.
scares me.
Oh, I bet there are.
Yeah.
Maybe they saw it when they were little or something.
Val Kilmer diehards, I don't know.
Well, I mean, if you're attracted to Val Kilmer, he is shirtless.
Shirtless, yeah.
And he is very fit.
Yep.
And tan.
Yeah, he's coming off of that Batman workout.
Yeah. Which is, I mean, even still very different than the superhero workout of the present day.
Yeah.
Where you have muscles have to be like muscles on top of muscles on top of muscles. Whereas back then it was like you just had to be kind of slim and look like you could run.
Right.
But he looked good, especially in comparison to Brando, who looked like he was about to die.
Well, yeah.
He had good posture that he could have like motherboards on his head too.
He could have hats on top of his head.
Yeah.
And Brando could have buckets on his head.
Scott, thanks for being on another episode of My So-Called Podcast.
Thanks for having me. It was awesome.
Yeah. And listener, thanks for listening to another episode of My So-Called Podcast. You
can we are on
subscribe to our
social
podcast
medias. Subscribe, rate, rank, listen.
Yep. Do all of that.
In 2 weeks, we will be back with you with another episode of My So-Called Podcast, which takes place in the 90s.
Yeah. All right, thanks. I've been Gary Linton.
Thank you, Scott.
Reithel.
I've been Eric Spiegel.
Yeah,